They say all religions are the same.
According to ancient Aztec priests, the god Tlaloc required continuous human sacrifice. If these sacrifices were not made, the rain would stop and the crops would die. But Tlaloc especially needed child sacrifice, and it was not enough to wet the earth with the blood of children. Tlaloc also required their tears. If the sacrificial children did not cry enough, the priests would pull out their teeth or their nails to ensure maximum screams of pain before ritually sacrificing them. There is a sacred ritual described in Hindu scripture that's so vulgar that Hindu scholars refuse to translate it. Later Western academics like Wendy Doniger have provided full translations of the Hindu sacred Veda scriptures that describe this shocking fertility ritual called the Ashvamedha. We will describe the ritual for you now along with direct quotes from the scriptures, but viewer discretion is advised. The ritual begins when a horse is suffocated to death. The king and his 4 queens walk around the dead horse chanting prayers. The chief queen recites, "O horse, you are protector of the community on the basis of your good qualities. You are the protector of happiness. O horse, you have become my husband." When the prayer is complete, the chief queen lies down next to the horse. As the priests observe, she pulls the dead horse's genitalia and puts it into her own. She then recites the sacred prayer, "This horse may release semen into me." The king then recites another sacred prayer, "O horse, please throw semen on the upper part of the anus of my wife. Expand your penis and insert it in the vagina." According to the Harivamsa Purana, the Hindu god Indra eventually enters the body of the dead horse to have intercourse with the queen as the king watches. The ritual is complete after the queen spends the whole night with the dead horse's genitalia inside her, thus ensuring fertility for the Hindu kingdom. In one instance, the mother of Rama is also reported to have participated in this special ritual. You might think that this is a marginal practice in Hinduism, but many sacred Hindu temples, such as the Khajuraho temple in India, depict these acts of bestiality and group sex on their holy walls. Now you could say that all religions are the same, but what other religions involve child sacrifice and dead horse bestiality? These are shocking examples, but there's a deeper underlying truth here. Religions that involve bestiality, human sacrifice, and child torture are all polytheistic. Why is polytheism conducive to these practices? Of all religions, Islam is unique in its staunch condemnation of polytheism in all its forms. No religion takes a harder stance against polytheism. Islam teaches that the greatest injustice is polytheism or shirk, and the greatest virtue is strict monotheism or tawheed. But what is so unjust about worshiping multiple gods? And what is so morally good about strictly worshiping one God? We live in a world that has whitewashed polytheism. People think that the only difference between a monotheistic religion like Islam and polytheism is Muslims have a mosque that doesn't have idols in it, whereas Hindus, Buddhists, and pagans have temples with colorful statues. Why get so worked up about this difference? What's the big deal? If you believe in multiple gods versus believing in one all-powerful God, that has a huge impact on your psychology. Unlike the polytheist, the true monotheist, namely the Muslim, worships only one all-powerful God. This one God has created him and everything else that exists. This one God has given him the eyes he sees with, the ears he hears with, the heart pumping in his chest, and is the sole provider of literally everything he has. This understanding creates a very specific dynamic between God and the believer, a relationship built on feelings of intense love and deep gratitude. The believer is in a state of utter appreciation, knowing that whatever he is, whatever he has, whatever he will ever reach is from one single God. When people accept that every happiness and joy they experience is from one all-loving deity, all of their appreciation is concentrated towards Him. They in turn direct all their worship exclusively to Him. This naturally produces a beautiful relationship with God, one with overwhelming love, gratitude, devotion, and obedience. The temptation is to say that this kind of love is part of every religion. That is false. It's not part of every religion. This is whitewashing polytheism. In polytheism, most deities have no role in a person's life. They're not responsible for food that you eat, air you breathe. They aren't responsible for the order of the universe that ensures the sun rises and sets. In polytheism, most gods are localized with limited power. There's a god for the sea, another god for the sky, or a small god for your specific family. These are weak gods that offer you nothing. The deities in polytheism are so weak that often they can't even feed themselves. They require sacrifices in the form of food, alcohol, or blood. This is what libations are for. In many cases, traditional polytheism involves appeasing spirit beings and literal demons. For example, you make an offering to the sea demons so they don't destroy your boat. In the theology of polytheism, you get no benefit from these gods, and the only reason you worship them is to ward off their evil. How could you love gods like this or have any gratitude towards them? You might even hate these gods. Polytheistic religions have this inherent ugliness. It's the complete opposite of monotheism. The thing about believing in one all-powerful God who has created you and controls the universe, that gives you a strong sense of fear as well as humility. This is a natural human reaction. We all naturally fear and are humble before strong authorities who have great power to harm or benefit. This is why monotheism puts the fear of God in you. When you truly believe that God is all-powerful, you are filled with this indescribable awe of the divine. You want to submit to God in His ultimate power and bow down to His absolute authority. You're overwhelmed with a sense of submission that makes you want to dedicate yourself to that higher truth, that higher purpose in devotion to the Almighty. Again, these are emotions that can't exist in polytheism. There is no one central deity that has all power in polytheism. Rather, power is distributed among many gods, and many gods are so weak they can be controlled through bribes and magic. Gods so weak that people can even threaten them. You say to a deity, "If you don't do this for me, I will destroy your temples." How can you have humility before such wimpy, weak gods? This polytheistic theology produces people who lack humility, lack self-restraint, people who feel free rein to indulge in every vice unchecked by a healthy fear of divine wrath.